Ladies and gentlemen,
Good evening.
Are you ready?
Okay, here we go.
You're listening to the Deal Room Podcast. Join us as we bring you the inside scoop on business sales and acquisitions. Get across trends in the area and hear the industry's best recount their real-life tips, traps, and experiences. Now, here's your host, Joanna Oakey.
Hi, it's Joanna Oakey here, and welcome back to the Deal Room Podcast, a podcast proudly brought to you by our commercial legal practice, Aspect Legal. Now, today we have on the show Zoran Sarabaca from Xcllusive Business Sales, all to talk about trends that we are seeing right now in the market. So we've had Zoran on the show a few times now talking about the trends that we're seeing in the market, and we had him on just as COVID kicked in. We had him on around about a year ago, and we've got him back now as we look at where the market is sitting right now for buyers and for sellers. And the discussion might at times surprise you. So here we go with our discussion with Zoran, all about what the market is looking like right at the moment. Well, Zoran, I just want to say a huge welcome back to the Deal Room Podcast.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, now today, I know we have tackled this topic a few times before. Trends. What are the trends looking like at the moment? What's the state of the market looking like? So it might seem like an old topic, but the reason why it's fresh again is because we're in a completely different market to where we were 6 months ago, a year ago. So I think it's topical to come back to what are we seeing in the market right now. So Zoran, what are you seeing?
Well, totally right. What you're saying, it's a totally different market to where it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is, to our numbers, looks like it's about 100% up from pre-COVID. And it's just, I mean, if you're in this industry, fantastic, but it's also really interesting. Why is that happening?
Yeah.
So when the pandemic started, the number of businesses that were going on the market actually dropped. The buyers stayed there. Buyers are here now, and buyers were there before. But there was a big drop until about bottom was when Victoria declared state of an emergency, and then it started creeping up. And then we had, I don't know if you remember, but I just happened to have a data in front of me today. So I'm looking up. I don't have such a good memory. I've got it here in front of me. and then when Australia recorded first time, if you remember, there was a 0 COVID cases. And that's when it started coming up.
Yeah.
And then we had another lockdown, and then we had a Delta came about, and then Omicron came about. But Delta came about, everybody forgot about the COVID. All right. So we started, there was about July 21. But we started moving on from this pandemic type of thinking in about October 22, and the businesses started coming back. March 21, we were back to where we were before COVID, actually a little bit higher. But what happened since then, we are about 30% higher again. And last 3 months were just phenomenal in terms of how many businesses. And I'm not saying phenomenal, good or bad. I'm just saying unusual.
Just the volume is...
Volume that's coming in.
Yeah.
So we came to a conclusion there's two things. One, everybody who in 2020 postponed their decision about taking business to the market is doing it now, because I mean, 2-3 years in your life is a long time, right?
Yeah.
So, and you don't want to postpone for another 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But another thing that happened is a lot of people, in my opinion, decided to take an early retirement. And several reasons for that. One was property market was high, equities were high. We got a lot of cash from the government, so we really cashed out. And if you're in business, you're thinking, well, I don't know what the future holds. So how about if you actually retire now, because we got enough to. So there was and it's not just retirement in people, like, in retirement age. What people brought any decisions forward. What if we always wanted to move somewhere? Well, let's do it now because it's really good. What normally happens when you get a lot of businesses in the market that, supply over it's higher than demand, and the transaction's slow. But similar thing happened to buyers because they postponed their decision for a while, and now they're saying, well, I don't know what the future holds. but I can't postpone this for another 3 years because I'm going to be 6 years older. And if you are, 55, well, now you're 61.
Yeah.
It's not time to put it off. So we're seeing a lot of activity on the market. One thing that's pretty clear that the deals are not as easy as they used to be in terms somebody comes in, looks at the business and pays a full cash price. So buyers are looking more to de-risk the future. So sellers have to take on portion of that risk on themselves through some sort of or form of earnouts or deferred payments or some sort of security or guarantee going forward. But in general, we're finding a way to do that, and it's happening quite nicely. And buyers are buying businesses and they're happy, and sellers are selling businesses and they're happy too. Another thing that we're seeing a lot is this issue with the COVID that COVID created for us, which is businesses that had a big dip and now they're coming back, and we don't know where the future maintainable profits are. But we also, on the flip side, had a lot of businesses that generated some fantastic profits through the COVID, and some it's clear because of COVID. Like, if you're selling certain protective equipment, if you're selling masks, well, you made a lot of money through COVID. Or if you're selling COVID tests, you made a lot of money through COVID. Absolutely. But there are a lot of businesses that done very well through. They had initial hit, and then they really come about. Like the profits increased really good, and it's really hard to say if that's a new normal for this business, or is it just a blip that's going to change? And in both cases, we have to put some sort of de-risking strategies for the buyer going forward.
So, and deal structure is something that I seem to be talking about day in, day out these days. Buyers are interested in options of deal structures. Sellers want to understand what different types of deal structures will mean for them, how they minimise their own risk post-completion.
But it's not just risk. If I may interrupt you there, I did already, so we're going to do about it.
I can edit you out, Zoran. That's what I could do. I could just edit right out. That's what I could do. Anyway, in this instance, I won't. You can continue.
Okay. So what's happening, like if you got a surge in profitability going forward, it's not just the risking from the seller's point of view, but wanted to exit, but still maybe get some benefit from the future profits.
Yeah.
So the deals are happening both ways, for the risking, but also to help the owners, because they think, well, this may going to go forward and it's going to get even better.
Yeah.
So the deals are happening in order to leave some profit for the owner in the future. It's quite interesting market. I never saw anything like it.
Yeah, to give them the opportunity of the upside. But the reality is, we all know when everyone starts getting into the details, then, our sellers get worried about the extent to which they can, they will be able to actually trigger these earnouts. So of course that's where the legals is so important, sir. And you would
Absolutely.
have to. Anyway. Okay, all right. So interesting market, really high volume of deals at the moment. We are absolutely seeing a massive volume as well. So I absolutely have to reiterate that. More difficult potentially to get deals in the right structure to get an agreement between our buyers and sellers. What else?
Well, it is, but what we have to remember, lawyers especially, they have to remember to say.
Here we go.
Don't look. You can't make 100%. Like there's a risk in any contract.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So we have to move to this human side a little bit, way more in some instances, and say, okay, what the buyer wants to achieve, what the seller wants to achieve, and make a commercial agreement between them. You can't contract contract is there to say what we agreed on, all right? But you can't, through contract, the risks. what you're going to do is through commercial mechanism, you can de-risk to some degree as well.
Well, I agree. And we've got, some fabulous new insurance on the market as well that can help with minimising, reducing risk in a transaction. But I think that the contract does more than that, though, Zoran. Of course, I would say that because I'm a lawyer, but it acts as a checklist for us to work through, what the things that are out there in the deal that you don't necessarily think of when you're putting the high level terms of the deal together. And when we're looking at some of these deal structures, I think it's really important, it's important to understand risk, important to understand, as you say, Zoran, that you can't completely eliminate risk, but there are many mechanisms that you can use as you go through the contract process to get the win-win for both sides, but still get to the position where you're forward pacing, you're dealing with the issues before they come up, which is a far better way than later on down the track, the parties having a different perspective on what they've agreed and leading to argument. That's...
I agree 100%. What you just don't want to do is overwork that. Like, can't even think of the word what to say, but you don't want to give it too much weight in the whole deal because you can actually destroy the deal because people feel that they're not on the same page anymore and they start drifting apart.
Yeah.
There is no deal. And this conversation that you and me having now, that happens every day on every deal and more. And it's really, really, really different to the way it was before all this mayhem happened.
Yeah. But I think some of the answers, I mean, we've had lots of discussions about this in the past, but I think more now than ever before, part of the answer for all of this is to ensure that as we're, in doing the deals, we're doing perhaps more complicated deals, even for smaller matters. This is one thing that I've noticed. Even small matters, sometimes the structure of the deal can become quite complicated. And that can be a little bit frustrating, for everyone, because I do believe in simplicity and, you really do need to try and keep things as simple as possible, particularly for our smaller deals. But it is also about how we deal with these deals once we get to the contract stage to keep them moving quickly, to keep the parties talking, to keep coming back to the
correct. Speed is of the essence, without a doubt, because look what's happening. I mean, we're just coming out of COVID. We got this issue that, what stimulus has done to the economy, and certain things were good, but there was unintended consequences because of that. Now we got the rising interest rates and geopolitical situations all over the place. Supply chain issues. And it's really messy, and that creates a fee on both sides. And somehow you have to find a structure and then document that structure. How are we going to de-risk this for both sides? One thing, when we're talking about the trends and what's happening, we're finding that the manufacturing is really getting popular. In Australia, buyers looking for a lot of manufacturing for obvious reasons, because it's getting harder and harder. We ordered some computers for the office 8 weeks ago, and they're still not here. 8 weeks, we can't get them. All right. So,
wow.
So, we can't manufacture computers, but there's a lot of stuff that Australia can manufacture. And we're having a really good interest on our manufacturing businesses for that reason. And you can see on the financials that they're getting better and better and better. And what I'm hoping is going to happen, I always loved manufacturing, then because of the demand, they're going to make more money. They're going to now be able to, together with government stimulus and all the loans that are available, and instant cash write-off, that they're going to put more in the new technology for manufacturing, and the manufacturing is going to start coming back to Australia much faster than what we originally thought. So that's clear as a day that we're seeing at the moment.
Fascinating, isn't it? And fascinating because pre-COVID and pre all of our international supply issues. Manufacturing, there were times where there was a cloud over manufacturing.
Yeah, no one wanted it.
That's right.
I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. We were selling this manufacturing business, and there was office, and then there was a manufacturing plant, and there was a On the other side, there was a warehouse with boxes, all right? So we would meet in the office, and then we would have to walk through manufacturing, and then we get to the boxes. And you could see and that was a few years ago, you could see everybody's very chatty and happy in the office because they understand the environment. And then we get into manufacturing, and they just freak out. Like the buyers are really scared until we go back to the boxes, and then they relax again and they start talking because we just didn't, we forgot how to do manufacturing. And now it's coming back. And like a lot of buyers that I had a conversation do have experience in supply chain, in manufacturing. I think it's going to be a really good future for that sector in the country.
Fascinating. Okay. Well, look, Zoran, I just want to say a huge thank you for coming on to the show today. It's always fascinating. Love talking about market trends. Love having a bit of, a hearty discussion with you about
the lawyers.
The bloody lawyers. Yeah. Wonderful. How can our listeners get in contact with you, Zoran, if they're interested in preparing for the sale of their business?
Just Google Xclusive Business Sales and you'll find us.
Brilliant. Well, we might even just link to you in the show notes as well.
If you don't
Why
mind.
not?
I'm doing something for you. Am I going to do something for us?
Zoran, as always, it's a pleasure. Well, that's it for this episode of the Deal Room podcast. If you would like more information about this topic, then head over to our website at www.thedealroompodcast.com, where you'll be able to download a transcript of this podcast episode if you're the kind of person who likes to read this sort of stuff in fine detail. And of course, you will find details there of how to contact Zoran and his team of brokers at Xclusive Business Sales. You will also be able to find details of how to contact our lawyers at Aspect Legal if you or your clients would like to discuss any legal aspects of sales or acquisitions. Of course, in a market like we are in right at the moment, as Zoran said quite a few times, it's really important to be ready to take action quickly. Now, we've got a number of great products for buyers to help get you deal ready as quickly as possible from a legal perspective, starting with our ready to acquire product. Now, in our show notes, we'll link through to our ready to acquire product. We also have a whole heap of on-demand webinars that might be relevant to you if you're looking at buying or indeed getting ready to exit your business. And we will link through to top tips on getting ready to sell a business from a legal perspective and top tips on getting ready to acquire a business from a legal perspective here in the show notes. Now, if you just want to talk to one of our legal eagles at Aspect Legal, then just head over to the show notes or to our website at www.aspectlegal.com.au, and there we have a free 15-minute call available to you where you can speak to one of our legal eagles about what you need to do to get prepared either for an acquisition or a sale. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed what you heard today. You have been listening to Joanna Oakey and the Deal Room podcast, a podcast proudly brought to you by our commercial legal practice, Aspect Legal. See you next time. I am so very excited to announce that I've hit a non-podcast related milestone and released a book. You might wonder why? Simple. I wanted to help business owners understand the mechanics of deal making and the interaction between three critical phases of business: acquisition, growth, and exit. And so I am very happy to announce Buy, Grow, Exit, a guidebook for business owners and their advisors on how to buy, grow, and guess what? Exit in a way that maximizes value and avoids landmines along the way. The book is available now, so just head over to buygrowexit.com.au to get your copy and to access a whole heap of free resources that will really help you on your journey of acquisition, growth, and exit in your business or in working with your clients. Also, check out our show notes where we will link straight through to that page.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.
Thanks for listening to the Deal Room Podcast. To find out more about this episode and other episodes in the series, check out the show notes or head over to our website at thedealroompodcast.com.au.